Jojo review. So we're finally here. We're finally at the spot where we're going to meet the boss. The last disc that they got has instructions, hey, you're gonna go into this building, you're gonna go on the top floor. Only one person can go with Trish. So obviously it's gonna be Bruno, he's the leader. And you're not allowed to have any, knives, guns, or cell phones, or anything like that. So Giorno and Bruno are kind of looking at each other like, this is our only opportunity to figure out who the boss is. So you can tell right away that they're kind of scheming together, and Giorno makes sure to give him one of the brooches on his jacket. The idea behind this is Giorno can kind of give life to it, and they can use that to track the boss. So like they put it on him and then they can track him wherever he is, and Giorno has a whole map open of the place that they're going to go into. Everyone's just like, man, Bruno, you're awesome. I sure hope nothing bad happens to you in this episode. I mean, really, there's just those moments in anime where people just start randomly complimenting someone who's going like on a dangerous mission, and you can't help, as a viewer, you can't help watching that and think to yourself, are they gonna die? Is the author trying to make us feel even more sorry for them if they die? We're almost in the elevator, but Trish kind of stops and she's kind of crouched over in a corner, and you see for like probably the first time, she's actually like shaking and scared. She's like, what's gonna happen to me? I don't even know this man. These people just came up, brought me on this crazy mission. I've had my life threatened so many times, and now I'm going to meet this guy who I don't even know, and he's supposed to be my father, and you genuinely feel for Trish in this moment, you know? Bruno kind of comes over to her and he's like, well, your father's going to make sure that you're safe. That's the most important thing right now. He's going to give you a different identification. He's going to probably give you plastic surgery so you look different. And Bruno is trying to like kind of make her feel better and reassure her, and he's like, here, let me give you a hand. But then she like kind of switches again. She snaps him away and she's like, I'm not nervous or anything. But then, of course, once they actually get in the elevator alone together, Trish kind of reaches over and takes his hand. And it's a very tender moment. Trish has always come off as very cold and aloof. I love her anyway, but it's very nice for her to actually have a very human moment where she just kind of has this window where she just lets the emotions out before, going back to her sort of aloof self. It's probably my favorite moment throughout the entire episode, honestly. And as we finally hit the top floor, Trish is gone. Bruno turns over and he's still holding her hand, but it ain't attached to her body. So he reaches the conclusion that it's the boss who took her, because nobody knows where they are right now. It's just him and Trish and the boss who are in this building, so it has to be the boss who took her. So Bruno realizes that the real reason that they sent bodyguards over to bring Trish to him, it wasn't because he wanted to necessarily protect his daughter, but that he wanted to get rid of her himself to assure that it was done right. I guess it's a bit of a big hassle to do that, but to reassure that nobody can figure out your identity, if someone had like a stand that was able to use Trish to figure out who he was, or I don't even know. But I'm guessing that it's that sort of mentality that the boss has. It's very, very protective of his identity and making sure nobody knows who he is, making sure that he covers all his tracks. Before we move forward in this story, we actually flashback to Bruno's backstory. So Bruno's whole thing with his parents is that his parents got divorced when he was at a very young age, and he was given the choice to either go with his mom or his dad. And it's interesting, he chooses to stay with his dad, not because he necessarily loves his dad more, but he wants to be there for his dad. He knows that his mom is a strong, independent woman who can survive on her own, but he's not too sure about his dad, if he'll be okay, in the fishing business all alone. It's actually a very mature decision for a child to be making at that age. So where things get complicated is one day his dad is paid to take these two fishermen out to a weird location, and it turns out that they're actually doing a drug deal, and his dad gets completely shot up to ensure that he doesn't rat on them. But lucky for him, he lives, but he's hospitalized. So, since he's an important witness, the people who are doing the drug deal come back to finish him off. And Bruno hides under the bed and freaking sneak attacks one of them, and then gets the other guy, committing murder to protect his father. And after that, he realizes that he can't really trust the police to protect his father, and that's kind of why he joins the underground organization, to make sure that his father can remain safe. But in the end, it doesn't really work out that way. His father still dies due to complications from his wounds. And what's more, later on he finds out the organization that he chose to join is kind of involved with the drug business, and he hates the drug business because that's what cost his father his life. And it kind of reminds me of one of the first episodes where you meet Bruno, and Giorno is able to tell that he's very reluctant in using the other person's arm because that person is a child and he has shots throughout his arm. So from the very beginning, you can tell that Bucciarati really doesn't like the drug business, really hates the idea of selling drugs to kids, drug sales in general. Now we get to find out more of why that is and why he joined the organization in the first place. So as he's getting out of this flashback, he's thinking to himself, man, that this organization has betrayed me twice now. Because one, they were selling drugs, and now he's just using us for his own personal gain. He's killing off his innocent daughter who doesn't even know jack about any of this, just so his identity won't be found out. He looks down at the elevator shaft and he sees the silhouette of the boss carrying Trish away, and he's able to drop Giorno's brooch on him and click it on so that he can track him. He then realized that there's a basement that he must be heading to, so Bruno gets there first and he's hiding behind a pillar thinking that he's going to sneak attack him, and interestingly enough, he already knows that Bruno's there. That's very interesting. I wonder if that has something to do with his ability. So after some quick thinking, Bruno is able to get past the boss, but he doesn't really know where he scatters off to, and he reattaches Trish's hand, make sure that she's okay, she's still alive, and he kind of unzips his jawline and brings out a phone which he uses to call Giorno, and Giorno can actually give him the location of where the brooch is. Bruno kind of gets ahead of himself. He immediately attacks, even though Giorno's on the other line saying, wait, this is kind of weird. And as soon as he attacks where the boss should be, he ends up seeing himself in that place. And as it turns out, he's seeing himself in the future, and where he was before kind of fades away, and now he's in this new spot. So we're introduced to the boss's stand, King Crimson, and he has the ability to jump ahead in time. It's another time stand, guys! 3 boss fights in a row, all time stands. We got freaking Dio can stop time, Kira can rewind time, and now the boss can jump ahead in time. The dude has a hard-on for time abilities. I don't know what it is. He reveals everything to Bruno, and then punches right through his body. So the dude is fucked up. I don't know how well he can zipper that wound up, but I'm not sensing that he's doing too well in this fight so far. Who the fuck is texting me at this time? So I'm guessing Giorno's on the other line, so he's gonna know something's up. And maybe everyone is gonna storm the building? But I'm not even sure if they can really get there in time, per se. Get it? Get it? Time powers! Honestly, what I want to see is I want to see Trish's stand ability. What is Trish's stand ability? We haven't seen it yet. We know that she has one, but it's probably never gonna... Of course, she's unconscious for all of this. She can't even when she gets her stand ability, she probably won't know how to use it that well. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how developing your stand ability works. As far as I know, it's just fighting, and then eventually you just get the hang of it. I would like to imagine that Trish has a very good stand ability that's gonna, like, be a big plot device. Just like a plot armor stand ability. I don't actually know though. Everyone also always like talks shit on Giorno's stand ability, saying that it does too much. I kind of get that, you know, sometimes it's a little bit too so maybe he'll pull something out of his ass when the time comes. Man, still haven't heard anything from Jotaro or Koichi. What is up with that? They were in the beginning, and then they just kind of dipped out as soon as the actual plot began. Are they still in Italy? At what point did they like give up on waiting for them to come back and just leave? Fuck it. Let's go back to Japan. I don't know. That would be really funny if they just pop in at the end, just like, hey, what you guys been up to? Since we're facing the boss, that we're heading towards the end of Golden Wind, but there's always that, I don't feel like we're far enough in the series for this to actually be like around the ending time. I feel like something will probably happen, and then maybe they'll join up with the other team who was trying to get Trish, and maybe they'll both join up to defeat the boss. But I think the boss will probably get away, right? We're gonna have a Kira situation, like right when they're about to catch up with Kira, right? Then he gets away, and then they have to try to catch him again. It's like a wild goose chase. So that's kind of the impression that I'm getting, by the way, because I just don't think that we're enough episodes in for this to be the end of JoJo. I feel like a lot more has to happen before we can have a full conclusion, you know? But we'll get to that when we get to that. So as usual, thank you guys for watching. Leave a comment down below what you think about this JoJo episode, and don't spoil anything for me. Check out your classic JoJo surprise in the description. Like the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!
Program restart.